Alita.
Oh, I got this. We're being recorded. Hold on, let me split this here. Oh, Jesus. Yes, good morning. Okay, fellow Toastmasters. I believe I may have given this one before, but Sean is the vicar of a Protestant parish in Western Newfoundland. And Patrick is the priest at the Roman Catholic Church across the road. One day they are seen together erecting a sign which says, "The end is near. Turn yourself around now before it's too late." As a car speeds past them, the driver leans out his window and yells, "Leave people alone, you religious nuts. We don't need your lectures." From around the next curve, they hear screeching tires and a big splash. Shaking his head, Father Patrick says, "That's the third one this morning." Yeah, Sean agrees. And then he adds, "Do you think maybe the sign should just say bridge closed?" Back to you, Madam Presiding Officer.
Thank you for that joke. We always love to hear those jokes a second time because the second time they're even better than the first. Our grammarian today, will you please share the word of our day? Toastmaster Rock.
Good morning, Earlybird Toastmasters, Madam Toastmaster. Today's word is sublime. It can be used as an adjective or a noun, and sublime of such excellence, grandeur, or beauty as to inspire great inspiration or awe. For example, Mozart's sublime piano concertos. As a noun, the sublime experiences ranged from the sublime to the ridiculous. It's also used to denote an extreme or unparalleled nature of a person's attitude or behavior. He had the sublime confidence of youth. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Toastmaster Rock. And we will start out our sublime narrative today with self-introduction, starting with our Toastmaster of the day, Toastmaster Pam Scrimshire.
Good morning, Madam Presiding Officers, my fellow Toastmasters, and our most welcome guests. Yes, I am Pam Scrimshire. I'm on the humor path and the strategic motivation path. Sublime. Well, my husband and I went over to the art museum here in Orlando, where I live now, to see, I don't know how to say the name properly, Jean-Michel Basquiat. He was a street artist and then has the most expensive American art ever sold. And he used bright colors and lots of crayons and stuff. And I encourage you all to see this. I'm not sure he's sublime because he's certainly not subtle, but he's grand. And who knows, they might be forgeries. The museum claims they aren't. The FBI is looking into it. So we had to go see him. Madam Presiding Officer.
Thank you, Toastmaster Scrimshire. And our next Toastmaster of the day is Toastmaster Alita Richmond.
Madam Presiding Officer, fellow Toastmasters, and most welcome guests, I am Alita Richmond coming to you from southwestern Pennsylvania, where the weather today is sublime because it keeps raining and everything is so beautiful and green. Looking forward to another wonderful day with this sublime Toastmasters group. Back to you, Madam Presiding Officer.
Thank you, Toastmaster Richmond, for your description of a sublime springtime that you're experiencing. Toastmaster Quinn, introduce yourself.
Fellow Toastmasters, Madam Toastmaster, and particularly and specifically our guest, whom I'm really excited to hear, and I know he will give us a sublime presentation. I was watching this morning on the television as I was feeding the dog and the cat, the presentation in England for the Queen. and the marching of the colors. And it brought me back to my own experiences when I was in the service and how much we practiced that kind of tradition, all inherited from our English relatives. It was truly interesting and sublime to hear them yell out, "Forward, march!" Madam Toastmaster.
Toastmaster Rock, please introduce yourself.
Good morning, Madam Presiding Officer, fellow Toastmasters, distinguished Toastmasters, most welcome guests, and returning Toastmasters. My name is Marie Rock. I'm a visionary communicator 5, strategic relationships 2. I think the texture of creme brulee is sublime. Madam Presiding Officer.
And I am in total agreement with that. Toastmaster Randolph Bastine, introduce yourself, please.
Good morning, Madam President, fellow Toastmasters, and all most welcome guests. I am Randolph Bastine from Fort Lauderdale, Florida, Motivation Strategies Level 2. I must say this group is sublime. And once again, I mean, I've only been a Toastmaster for about 1.5 years. And once again, this morning, I am totally amazed how everyone came together and made this meeting happen, from Toastmaster Pam starting the meeting, even to Toastmaster Jim coming in at an airport and just making sure everything was okay, all the way to distinguished Toastmaster Mary Helen Day taking on presiding officer. This group is totally amazing. Thank you. Back to you.
Thank you. We each received that sublime compliment, Toastmaster Bastine, with all our hearts. Toastmaster Ferrer, please introduce yourself.
Good morning, fellow Toastmasters and Madam Presiding Officer. It is a sublime day in Javia, and I am very, very honored to be part of this sublime group of Toastmasters. Back to you, Ms. Presiding Officer.
Thank you, Toastmaster Ferrer. The sister, the big sister is next, Toastmaster Anna Ilsen.
Good morning, Madam President, fellow Toastmasters, and most welcome guests. My name is Anna Ilsen. I'm an innovative planner 3 and an engaging humor 3. And as I look back on my life, I find that most of my experiences have ranged from the sublime to the ridiculous, all in one. Back to you, Madam President.
Thank you, Toastmaster Ilsen. And now, even though he's a relatively, quote, new Toastmasters, he's jumped in to be General Evaluator and Topics Master today. Toastmaster May, tell us who you are and what you're all about.
Thank you, Madam Presiding Officer. Hello, fellow Toastmasters and guests. Welcome, welcome. Good to be here. I am Scott May. I have just finished Presentation Mastery 1. Therefore, I'm done with Pathways Forever. It's a wonderful thing. One thing I'm learning in life, though, is to not just wait for the big things, but to enjoy all the small things as they come along. So, for example, this cup of coffee this morning is truly sublime. Madam Presiding Officer.
Thank you, Toastmaster May. And our newest Toastmaster, yes, Val Cray.
Good morning, Madam President, fellow Toastmasters. I am officially a 1-week member of Toastmaster. I saw a sunset last week that was truly sublime. I think it captured all of the colors of the spectrum. Thank you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Cray. And Toastmaster Jim Day, unmute. Tell us what you have to say about yourself this morning.
Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Jim Day, DTM, and your treasurer. And sublime. All I remember is some old song from the 50s talking about being sublime, but I can't remember any more than that. It's a little bit of a rough morning. I'm having a little bit of physical distress, I believe. I'm developing a traveling kidney stone as we speak. So I will remain fairly quiet today. Madam Toastmaster.
And we will respect your sublime wishes, Toastmaster Day. Now we have someone new in the house. Would you unmute and introduce yourself? Taylor Duncan, Toastmaster Taylor Duncan.
Absolutely. Well, I've always been a big fan of the band Sublime back in the 90s. But I am a member of Toastmasters of West Georgia and the greater Atlanta area. What is my story exactly about? Ooh, I'd tell you parts of it now, but then that would ruin the surprise. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Toastmaster Duncan. And Toastmaster Rock, would you please unshare your screen? Okay, here we are back to the show, ready to go.
We have one more that joined.
Oh, we do.
Becky.
Okay. Oh,
Toastmaster.
right. Okay, where is she? Ooh, where's Toastmaster Becky Jo Bean? Is she there? Should we wait?
I think she might have went back out then because I don't see her on the participants, but she did
Okay.
join.
Okay, great. But with that, we are going to introduce our Toastmaster of the day, or Toastmistress of the day, as they call it, Toastmaster Pam Scrimshire.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Day. Yes, this morning I am the Toastmaster, and I want to usually we talk about meetings being in 3 parts, and I will get there, but as you all know, our linchpin of our club, Kip Barkley, is very sick, very sick. He's home now because he had COVID in the hospital and he couldn't get his biopsy. In the chat, there's the email, the URL for Caring Bridge, which is a way he can distribute information. And I suggest you go there and you can read. You do not have to have an account to be able to read. If you want to send comments, you do need to have an account, but it's free. It doesn't cost anything. And I encourage you to do that. He was at Cleveland Clinic to have a biopsy because he has fluid on his liver, on his pancreas. But once they discovered COVID, they couldn't do it because evidently that would interfere with any anesthesiologist. So he's home resting, and with any luck, we'll have his biopsy next week. So please check out the chat, send him stuff. And as he said, inappropriate cards are welcome. So do your best. So back to our meeting, and I hope he's not coming today because he's tired. He was in a hospital, and you know how you get exhausted being in a hospital, but hopefully he'll be here next week. So we're at Earlybird Toastmasters, and like Toastmasters everywhere, West Georgia, Spain, Italy, the world, we have 3 parts. And our first part is table topics, and then we have our prepared speeches, and then we have evaluations. Now, we can't do all these things by ourselves, so we have helpers. And our first helper we have is our grammarian. Our grammarian is our Toastmaster Marie Rock, who's given us the word of the day. But what else do you do, Madam Grammarian?
Madam Toastmaster, the grammarian will note the use of good language, naming the member and the example. Incorrect grammar will be corrected without reference to the member. The best grammarian trophy, which will be this COVID killing spray, will be given to the person who uses correct and/or lively language during any part of the meeting. I will not rewrite speeches nor enter into areas of crutch words, but I will note if you don't complete the endings on your words. So please be aware of that. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Madam Grammarian. So I have to watch my gunners, I guess. And our next helper is our awe counter, Toastmaster Anna Ilson.
The ah counter is responsible for noting the speaker's verbal pauses. That is the ahs, ers, you knows, likes, etc. I will give a report of whoever's broken the rules at the end of the meeting. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Toastmaster Ilson. And our timer today is Toastmaster Bastine. He's put his hand up physically and in the reaction. So he's going to stay in your upper left-hand corner. And when it's time, we will find out about the timing requirements. So the first part of our meeting is our table topics. And leading us in table topics today is Toastmaster Scott May.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Yes, time for table topics. Well, I don't know the reason, but it's hurricane season. So that may be our theme for today's table topics. Okay, here we go. So I've been wondering, where does this word hurricane?
I'm sorry, timing requirements.
Oh, timing requirements. Absolutely.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. And for table topics, the timing requirements are 1 to 2 minutes with a 30-second deviation only at the end. 1 minute, you'll get the green light. 2 minutes, you'll get the amber. And just at I'm sorry, at 1 minute and 30 seconds, you'll get the amber. And at 2 minutes, you'll get the red. And just before your 30 seconds is up, I'll start flashing. Thank you. Back to you, topic master.
Thank you, Mr. Timer. Okay, we'll start again. So this word hurricane, I don't know where it comes from. Could someone share where this word hurricane comes from? Toastmaster Jose Ferrer.
Hurricane. That means you hurry and you cane. No, cane. Oops. I believe it's a drink that originated in New Orleans. And since people that drink 2 or 3 of those get into a whirlwind, somebody decided to call them hurricanes. You know, hurricanes come from Africa mostly. And I don't know what they're called over there, but we do have a wind that comes into Spain from the Sahara that's called Scirocco, like the car. Volkswagen had a car called Scirocco, a sports car. Hurricanes are interesting animals. They generate off the coast of Africa normally, the ones that we see in the Atlantic that really concern us most. They swirl their way across the ocean using that hot, warm water as they get into the Caribbean to fuel them. And I've been reading that crazy scientists are trying to figure out if taking a plane full of ice cubes would, kind of make them lose power. I've been reading crazy people thinking, oh, a nuclear explosion, a small one, might take care of that beast. And I'm wondering, wouldn't it be better to put hurricane shutters, go to New Orleans, get a nice drink, and call it a day? Back to you, Mr. Scott Main.
Thank you, Toastmaster Farrar. Well, we all know sometimes when a hurricane comes, we lose electric power. So once we lose power, what would you eat from your freezer first? Toastmaster Anna Ilsen.
Mr. Table Topics Master, fellow Toastmasters, and welcome guests. What I would eat from my freezer today would be whatever is in the freezer because my food doesn't spoil. When Wilma came around, my husband, a few weeks before, got it into his head that he was going to get a full-fledged generator to run the whole house. It cost a pretty penny, and I remember calling him an idiot and saying, you have these cockamamie ideas and you're wasting all this money. He had to get the fire department, the city of Fort Lauderdale, the this, the that, and everything, all the permits to congregate here to give their approval. He got the monster installed, whatever. Wilma hit and we had the house running. Our neighbors connecting their appliances to us, coming over to take hot showers, coming over to warm up their soup, whatever. So my husband went from being an idiot to being a sublime visionary within a period of 48 hours. Back to you, Mr. President, Mr. Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Toastmaster Ilsen. How our perspective can change on a dime. Thank you for that. Well, if a hurricane is named with your name, what level of storm would it be? Toastmaster Mary Helen Day.
No, I haven't really thought of that because that is really out there. There's no hurricane's going to be named Hurricane Mary Helen. It's not going to happen. But I have to tell you about my tree. My tree in the backyard, it is a ficus tree. Now, anyone who lives in Florida know ficus kind of weeds. They kind of grow. They're messy, whatever. But during 2 hurricanes, my poor tree took a hit. One half of it crashing down my back fence. That was Wilma. And the last one, oh, I was so upset and angry. It also, the last half of it crashed down and there was hardly anything left. And I was so happy because the tree had finally grown out perfectly. It had gone through its battle with the white flies. Any of you who have ficus, you know what I'm talking about, the white flies. And now, folks, it is again in perfect state. It is protecting us. It's shading the house. We sit out back on Friday nights and I look at the tree and I say, oh, it's so great. You're perfect now. And now I hear there's another hurricane coming. What do I got to do to save this tree from another onslaught by nature? Well, maybe Hurricane Mary Helen, if she's going to do it, she's going to leave my tree alone. I hope. Mr. Table Topic Master.
Thank you, Toastmaster Mary Helen. Yes, the Mary Helen hurricane will be kind to the ficus. Wonderful, wonderful. Okay, there's a song by The Clash. Should I stay or should I go now? So when a hurricane's coming, do you stay or do you go? Toastmaster Marie Rock.
Should I stay or should I go now? If I stay, there will be trouble. If I go, it will be double. So I just stay. I am very fortunate, Mr. Table Topic Master. I have a husband who is in construction and he remodeled our house. And we have the hurricane straps. It is salted. It is west of US 1. And I feel very safe here. Although several years ago when we were expected to get a Category 5, he said, if the roof comes off, all bets are off. So I don't know, maybe I need to rethink this. Should I stay or should I go? This has also been a consideration for me with regard to moving to closer to the beach, because the barrier island is the first to evacuate. So there's something to be said for a bit west and just taking that 5-10 minute drive to the beach to watch the sublime sunrises. I'd rather just drive and be somewhat secure and stay home during the hurricane and maybe go over to Anna Ilson's to enjoy her full house generator for a hot shower, which I think is the most sublime experience during a hurricane. Mr. Table Topic Master.
Thank you, Toastmaster Marie Rock. So during the storm, everyone go to the roster, get Marie Rock's address. We're all going to meet at her house. And then after the storm, we're all going to drive over to Anna's house. So we have power. Okay, good to have a plan. Okay, with this being hurricane season, are you the person that preps now and buys supplies, or do you wait until the storm is bearing down? Toastmaster Val Cray.
Good morning. I am the one who waits. I think hurricanes are so erratic that it's hard to tell where that angry wind is going to go. We have prepped for a hurricane. We have gone and bought gas. We have bought food. And then the hurricane turned and went another way. Now, not complaining that it didn't come this way, but we had done a lot of preparation. So now we wait. Is it really heading this way? Now, where I live is pretty far inland. So what we get is the spinoffs of the hurricane, which are usually tornadoes. Now, tornadoes are not anything to play with, but we don't get the gale force winds of the hurricane. we get the angry winds of the tornado. So with the tornado, we can better prepare. We can take, we don't have to do the windows. What we do have to do is get a secure place, which is usually in an inner closet. And we have that already prepared. There's a space for the two of us to get into the closet, pull all the clothes down on top of us, and wait it out. So that is usually our level of preparation, is being sure that closet is ready. Thank you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Val, living in the closet. I love it. I love it. Thank you. Okay. Now, University of Miami is kind of appropriately called with a mascot, the Hurricanes. But yet, their mascot is an ibis bird. Who can explain that? Toastmaster Pam Scrimshire.
Well, I can, absolutely. And I don't know whether it's true or not, but they claim, and you know how University of Miami people are, they claim the ibis is the last bird to leave, that Miami Hurricanes don't run, they stay. So that's their story, and they're sticking to it. I'm not sure anybody has been putting transmitters on ibis to find out. Although, you know, I was at an interesting talk about transmitters on birds, and they've done a lot of herons, and they don't actually move during a hurricane. They just hunker down. They just stay wherever they're going to be. So I think that there might be some mythology in the ibis. Now, I can say this because I've had 3 kids graduate from UM. My husband retired from UM, but I am not a Hurricane. So I put them down as much as possible. One of my favorite things is when the Hurricanes play my alma mater, Georgia Tech. It's going to the football games and wearing my t-shirt proudly as we beat the bejesus out of those stupid ibis. Anyway, that's what they claim. I'm not sure it's true, but like I said, it is University of Miami telling you that. And they did invent the swagger. Mr. Table Topics.
Thank you. Thank you, Toastmaster Scrimshire. Okay, with the hurricane coming in the morning, what do you do the night before? Do you prep or do you party? Toastmaster Randolph Bastine. I think you're still on mute, sir.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Topic Master. Prep or party? I would probably say, I'll do a quick prep because I have to be responsible with all the kids and everything. But knowing that I'm most likely going to be off the next day and the kids are going to be out the next day, we pull out the board games and we start prepping the freezer food to cook because I don't have a generator right now. And we just start the party. I'm with the party because and my kids, they are a lot of fun. They anytime we have like something going on, and plus it also keeps the anxiety down because we don't turn on the news, not the night of, just after. And I try to just keep them calm and cool, and we just play some games, and then we might talk about the whatever experiences they had, although they're young, previous times, and just laugh and just have some fun. So I'm definitely quick prep, more party. Thank you. Back to you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Bastine. So we're going to adjust our plan the night before we go to Toastmaster Bastine's house. And Ms. Rock, then Ms. Gilson. Okay. Madam Toastmaster, do we have time for one more?
I would say yes.
Okay. All right. So if you're up for this, Mr. Jim Day, and you can pass if you'd like. If you're finishing your hurricane prep and it's very late and you know that the store only has one item left, what do you hope it is? Water, batteries, or vodka?
Bottle of wine. Mr. Topics Master. I have run away from Hurricane Andrew when I lived on Key Biscayne. I have stayed in my house or with Mary Helen when we had a recent hurricane. After Wilma, I spent beaucoup amounts of money putting in a 16K generator to run the entire house like Anna's husband. Never had to use it since then till I sold the house subsequently. So that was an investment that I thought was going to be good. However, you can see how that turned out. I don't know what I would do other than sit down, have a glass of wine. I have general preparation all the time for hurricanes, just being aware of it. But at my age, might as well party, because whatever comes, comes, and there's nothing I can do about it. Every time I've thought about running away from the hurricane, it ended up where I was going to run to rather than where I stayed. I think I have a bit of a target on my back. Just live with it. Mr. Topic Master.
Thank you. Thank you, Toastmaster Day. Mr. Timer, how did our folks do?
Everyone qualify. And after I give out the timing requirements, if you all can just privately message me who the winner is, and I'll document that for the end of the meeting. Toastmaster Jose Ferrer with 1 minute and 20 seconds. Toastmaster Anna Ilson with 1 minute and 20 seconds. Distinguished Toastmaster Mary Helen Day with 1 minute and 25 seconds. Toastmaster Marie Rock with 1 minute and 37 seconds. Toastmaster Val Cray with 1 minute and 45 seconds. Toastmaster Pam Scrimcher with 1 minute and 20 seconds. Toastmaster Randolph Bastine with 1 minute and 17 seconds. And Toastmaster Jim Day with 1 minute and 38 seconds. Thank you.
Toastmaster Bastine, I just want everyone to be aware of that there are 2 Earlybird Toastmasters in the chat. So the one which is the host is the one you want to send your votes to.
Yes, thank you for that. Yes.
Thank you. Yes, it might have been less confusing if I signed back.
Okay. So back to you,
As
Madam
we were always,
Toastmaster.
Thank you very much. Thank you for that. Yes, it is the beginning of hurricane season, and boy, I just love listening to y'all talk about it. That's why we moved to Central Florida. So our next part of our program is our speakers, and traditionally we take a few minutes break to make sure everybody knows what they're doing. So Mr. Timer, can you set 3 minutes on the clock? We'll just chit chat, make sure everybody knows what they're doing. To the speakers, I do have your introduction, Alita, but to our other speaker, I don't. Do you have an introduction that you want to send to me, or how would you like me to introduce you?
I'll go ahead and send that over to you. I don't have your email address. I only have Tom's email address.
You could put it to me in the chat.
Yeah, got it.
Perfect.
And evaluating Toastmaster Taylor Duncan, is that Marie Helen Day? Just to
Yes.
confirm?
Yes,
Okay.
it is. And Taylor, I need to know what speech you're speaking from in Pathways.
Yes, I've sent that over to you in chat. There's no
Okay,
it's
I
a
see
custom
that.
speech. There's no
Okay.
exact profile, no
Okay.
exact project.
And
And did you send
evaluating-
it, please send it to Toastmaster Scrimshire, please, because she's going to introduce you too.
Yeah.
Okay.
And she's at Earlybird Toastmasters, not the host.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And And is Tom Quinn evaluating Alita Richmond? Okay,
And,
all
and
right.
timing, right? Do we know the timing?
Yeah, each speaker, what is the timing of your speech? Is it 5 to 7 or something different?
Mine's supposed to be 6 to 8.
Okay, 6 to 8,
Mine is 10 to 12.
10 to 12. Okay.
Big one. Yeah.
Toastmaster Duncan, do you want a written evaluation or do you want is an oral sufficient?
You could do both. That's fine. Let me go ahead and get you the Google form right here to where you could fill it out too, based on the template that I came up with.
Okay, great. Thank
It
you.
is, and the whole club can actually have access to this form too. Feel free to submit your thoughts on the Google form, and that's how I save the feedback after it's over, because once you lose it through Zoom, it often doesn't save.
Okay, so once this is filled out,
I'll be able to keep it.
you'll be able to keep it. Okay, and do we need an email here or my email? What is it?
You just put in your email address and your name and you fill it out and that's it.
Okay,
It's a standard form.
okay,
And
will do.
again, I still don't have an introduction. Mary Helen, did you get one you can ship over to me, or?
I could do
I
that.
did.
I know it's confusing this morning because we have two Earlybird Toastmasters because we're signing in. We were sort of a little discombobulating getting the meeting started.
Right. I did send it to you via chat as a direct message. Let's try again.
Got it. Thank you.
Very good.
Tom, I apologized. I missed you in table topics. I had one written here for you, but somehow I went over it. I was going to give you a chance to talk about what's in that drink called a hurricane. Sorry about that.
Oh, God.
Secret ingredients only known to those who have attended the University of Miami, not to ever be shared with anyone who went to Georgia or Georgia Tech.
I'm so sorry I skipped over you. That would have been
That's
fun.
quite all right. That's exactly what I would have said, and that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Okay, good.
I suppose you think the same about the Gators, right?
You got it. You got it.
Okay, we are back because our timer says the time is up. We are second part of our meeting are prepared speeches. And this morning we have two by experienced speakers. Our first one is our own Alita Richmond coming from Pennsylvania. Oh, and I need to do timing requirements. I apologize. I didn't mean to scare you there. First, Mr. Timer, what are the timing requirements?
Thank you. Timing requirements are as with the 30-second deviation at the beginning or the end to qualify. I will turn on the green light once the time is reached, and 1 minute before the time is at its maximum, I'll turn on the amber light and the red light at the end of the timing requirements, and I will start flashing just before the 30-second deviation. Thank you. Back to you.
Thank you, Mr. Timer. So our first speaker is our own Alita Richmond coming from Pennsylvania, and she is in presentation mastery. She is finishing presentation mastery because she is at level 5, reflect on your path. And the title of her speech is, despite many challenges, I completed it. Toastmaster Richmond.
Toastmasters makes a difference in the lives of those who participate, and also anybody who has an opportunity to witness a Toastmaster in action. My continued membership in this club is a testament to the impact of Toastmasters on my life. Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and guests. When the Pathways program was inaugurated by Toastmasters International, the only participation I had with this club was to pay my dues when I got the bill, because I wanted to keep that connection. Vice President of Education Kip Barkley suggested that I get started in the Pathways program with presentation mastery. But I didn't get started in the Pathways program until mid-March 2020, when Earlybird Toastmasters went virtual due to the coronavirus pandemic, the lockdown. The unprecedented effects of COVID-19 continued throughout 2020 and 2021. The collateral damage from the pandemic and the long-term shutdowns continue to plague us in so many ways today. But that's a topic for another project. Pathways was new to me. On the positive side, the COVID-related forced isolation gave me and a lot of other people the opportunity to try something new and different. So in addition to the Thursday morning early bird meeting, I joined the South Hills Toastmasters Club in Pennsylvania and ultimately completed level 5 of presentation mastery. I remember a speech I gave on Thursday, April 16, 2020. It was titled, A Stitch in Time. And I recalled some of the age-old adages that I had learned throughout my life related to being prepared. Chris Gould evaluated my presentation and she was lavish in her praise. Actually, I won Best Day. I incorporated Chris's suggestions when I gave essentially the same speech a couple of weeks later to my new South Hills Club. I learned a valuable lesson from my South Hills members, especially my evaluator, who cautioned me to be more sensitive, particularly when I asked how so many people seem to miss the message about saving for a rainy day. Because the younger members of South Hills live paycheck to paycheck. I think of the members of Earlybird Toastmasters as my peers, but clearly I did not relate to this much younger membership of South Hills Toastmasters. Nevertheless, that gave me a perfect topic for my next Pathways project, Know Your Audience. My speech was titled, Are You Talking to Me? And it focused on that valuable lesson I learned. After the level 3 project, which was persuasive speaking, I purchased the new Pathways project, Persuasive Influence, because it seemed to be more my style. And then, as luck would have it, Toastmasters International rewarded all of the current members with a free pathway to help cope with COVID. Wow, a free pathway. So I signed up for engaging humor and took a break from presentation mastery. I had plenty of opportunities to give speeches, both at Earlybird Toastmasters and at South Hills Toastmasters. Plus, at the beginning of 2021, I was invited to join a new startup advanced Toastmasters club, Just Speaking, a comedy club. So between 3 clubs and 3 pathways, I was hopping from one to another, getting feedback from one club and giving a new improved version of the same speech to another. But despite all the fun I was having, there were major challenges with low bandwidth and substandard internet at my sublime, secluded country home, which prompted me to pack up my laptop computer and drive to anywhere that had free Wi-Fi. How many times did I drive across the state line to West Virginia to the back room of the McDonald's restaurant just so I could be with you guys on Thursday morning? Yet I learned a lot about the virtual meeting process through the educational moments provided by our resident geeks. In fact, in March 2021, at the suggestion of Jim Gould, I ordered the new Starlink satellite internet kit, which promised better internet. By the beginning of April 2022, I received and installed that Starlink satellite dish. And y'all reported to me that the audio and the visual were much, much better. However, the Starlink satellite roams through the northern sky, opposite of what my DirecTV and my HughesNet satellites. My house is situated on the northern boundary of my 3-acre property. And when winter turned to spring and my huge sycamore tree started coming out with leaves, woo, it caused severe and almost continuous interruptions on my satellite. My friends, your consistent understanding and forbearance with my internet problems has kept me from falling into the depths of despair. I moved my Starlink satellite to the southernmost boundary of my property. And now it has an open view of the northern sky. So far, the internet connection seems to be very good. Of course, I had to set up and improvise an office in my garage, which is far from my house. Through it all, I learned that the repeated attempts, the endless demonstrations, the monotonous research, the trials, and the patience made a difference. An old proverb says, necessity is the mother of invention. I felt the need for speed, internet speed, that is. I went back to presentation mastery in the latter part of 2021 after looking ahead at some of the projects in the later levels, the higher levels of presentation mastery. And that is a piece of advice I definitely would give to a new Toastmaster. Keep looking ahead. Levels 3, 4, and 5 offer many interesting projects to fulfill those requirements. I thought about what was going on in my own life and used the level 5 question and answer elective to share an informative overview of how to prepare one's home before the weather outside gets frightful. The members of South Hills Toastmasters who live in wintry Pennsylvania really were attentive, and they asked many questions even after the meeting. The level 4 elective dealing with a difficult audience was fulfilled when I gave an educational presentation regarding the use of speed, timing, and pauses. As I recall, my first disruptive audience member was Tom Quinn. When I said that the most effective speaking rate was between 120 and 160 words per minute, he blurted out, well, who's going to take the time to count them? For my level 5, prepare to speak professionally, I gave a 25-minute sermon at my church that was live streamed on Facebook. My project was comprehensively evaluated by a trusted and highly qualified Toastmaster. In late February, I presented an overview of the responsibilities and adventures as president of Southfield's Toastmasters for the 2021-2022 year to meet the level 5 elective leading in a volunteer organization and to entice members to become a club officer. After that, I've had a few outside speaking gigs and received good feedback from my audiences. My most recent speaking engagement was as the keynote speaker for the 100th anniversary banquet of the Uniontown College Club, which had been delayed for 2 years, and they lost their first speaker. My presentation focused on the highlights and the lowlights of the last 100 years, starting with women getting the right to vote in 1920, as the world was continuing to recover from World War I and the Spanish flu. The highlight of that event for me was when an 83-year-old Danielle Delaney came to me afterwards and told me the story of her father, a young soldier in World War I, and his mother, who had married, whose husband was a French sailor who died from Spanish flu. They ultimately met and married. She showed me her gold medallion, which was dated May 1st, 1918, which is the date of her mother's first child. We talked for about 15 minutes, and I will say that the reward, that was reward, and it meant more to me than the box of chocolates and the check for $100. Madam Toastmasters.
Thank you, Toastmaster Richmond. What a journey. Oh, lovely. And I encourage you all, send Toastmaster Richmond notes through the chat. You can click on the square on her corner, it'll come up, because we like to have that immediate feedback. What a journey. And I was glad I was able to participate in a lot of it. Now, we have a guest speaker for our second speaker, Toastmaster Taylor Duncan. Mr. Duncan is doing a Zoom across America journey of 100 speeches in 100 days in an attempt to inspire and empower all while raising awareness and acceptance for autism and other difficulties. Please help me welcome to our Zoom Toastmaster Taylor Duncan.
November 27th, 1995. The day I was born to my parents at Kennestone Hospital in Marietta, Georgia. I was born in seemingly normal shape at a healthy weight of 8 pounds at around 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Yet fast forward 4 years later to the day, my mother begins to see that perhaps something was simply amiss. After all, I wasn't talking in complete sentences. I had issues with social anxiety, and I often played alone away from other children at the time, which were all issues that prevented Mother and I from being able to go out in public and participate in society. My mother then took me to the Marcus Institute located in downtown Atlanta, one of the only autism diagnostician centers in the entire Southeast region at the time. It was there in which I was diagnosed on the autism spectrum as an estimated 1 in 1,000 children in the entire United States, based off the limited statistics that were available at the time. Soon thereafter, I obviously began experiencing the negative stigmas and perceptions of what one with autism can and cannot accomplish. For example, the doctors. Yeah, they go over a list of the things with Mother that I may never be able to accomplish throughout my life, including the mastering ability to speak in full sentences, the ability to think coherently in academics, and the ability to perform those basic independent living duties, like the ability to hold down a job or a romantic relationship. Soon thereafter, the public school system wanted me placed in a special classroom. So special that it would have segregated me away from the other kids in the general education setting where that social development primarily takes place. Yet, my mother would never accept that to become my reality. As an educator herself, she fought against her own employer, her own boss, for me to have the same social development opportunities as every other student in that school. Despite a lack of resources in the rural area that we lived in, my mother made the most of her time, where she took time with me every single night over the next few years to work with me on different skills that otherwise would have naturally developed in those without a disability. During this time with hard work and her I can attitude, I finally began speaking in full sentences. And guess what? I finally achieved other developmental milestones. Ah! I'll tell you what, I'll go ahead and tell you a story here. There were those growing up throughout my life who were very concerned about my inner development, so to speak. But yet years later, they come up to me and they say, my gosh, I have no idea what I was thinking that you would talk in such few sentences, such few words, and not be able to hold down a conversation. Because now you talk too much instead of too little. I tell you what, Fort Lauderdale, it's proven to be such a big impact on my life that it reminds me that it's something to never take for granted, especially those skills that we learn and be able to utilize in basic everyday conversation as well as in other facets of life as well. Something never to take for granted. And I had a lot of those accomplishments during the time span from, say, 2000 to 2006, my early childhood years. But I also faced a lot of adversity too. Began to be denied opportunities to play on traditional sports teams, alongside the opportunity from developing some friendships, all due to those negative common perceptions of autism. One year, my mother and I discovered and had to face the fact that my teacher one year, as well as the school system, they didn't want to provide me the accommodations and services to keep up my academic success from years past. But yet, my mother advocated for me and stood up for me in the face of adversity, inspiring me through her example to build resilience and that ability to persevere against the bullying from the teacher and from other students. With the help of my mother and the Lord up above, I developed that ability and that desire to become an advocate, not only for myself, but to be able to help others too. Now, in the years since, my mother would take me out of public school, to homeschool me. Of course, I still face negative perceptions and stigmas of autism in society. What's new? Of course. Yet I still held that desire to use my lessons learned in life to help others like myself, all in order to power through those perceptions, to power through those stigmas, to power through those stereotypes. At the age of 20, I started a nonprofit organization, Alternative Baseball, in order to provide the authentic baseball experience for other teens and adults with disabilities across America. Most importantly, an opportunity for those like myself to have an opportunity to build friendships, to build those critical thinking skills, to build those critical teamwork skills for application in life off the baseball diamond into the work environment where all those skills are required for long-term success. Plus contending with the fact that there's not that many services around for those with disabilities, let alone the entire spectrum after they graduate out of high school. Therefore, to promote the cause, I needed to shed any public speaking anxieties that I had in order to take my story where it was needed. Despite barely able to get out of my chair my very first meeting at Toastmasters of West Georgia in 2016. I couldn't even get up. I was so nervous for table topics that first meeting. But guess what? I joined anyway because everybody at that club was so relatable to me. And with the help of the mentor and with supplementary experience and practice, still practicing to this day, by the way, I not only shed my anxieties for public speaking, but also developed that ability to tell my story in national outlets across the country, all to promote awareness and acceptance for what individuals with disabilities can do in life throughout and beyond the wonderful wide world of athletics. Always wanted to go to Marlin Stadium, by the way. But before I go out on a tangent, I realized something. None of this is supposed to happen. Wow. Wasn't supposed to speak in full sentences. Wasn't supposed to be included in academics and activities with the normal kids. And for other naysayers and even some of my family members, I wasn't even supposed to be leading a nonprofit organization. Yet, despite the adversity, I'm here today, powered through the perception, powered through the stigma, and powered through the stereotype. Thanks to those who believed in me throughout the years, I carry the dream, the dedication, the drive, and the desire to continue advocating and mentoring others like myself. Now, Fort Lauderdale Earlybirds, you may be asking, what does this have to do with you? It has everything to do with you. Because at the end of the day, whether we have a disability or not, we all deserve that chance to live life to the fullest, free from those stigmas and negative perceptions. Sometimes in life, especially if you're a Christian too, like I am, I feel that we are all called upon, no matter what we know or where our experience level lies, to be able to advocate, stand up for what's right, to be able to mentor others so that they can know how to believe in themselves and believe in their inner abilities, and to continue learning just like every student of the game to be able to be successful everywhere they possibly can in life. Because when we're able to find that right support system, and when we're called upon, and when we establish that support system to positively teach and to encourage us to become the best versions of ourselves possible, my gosh, the sky's truly the limit for what can actually be accomplished when we work together, no matter who we are at the end of the day. That's why, to me, that collective ability to self-advocate, to mentor, and encourage others through societal barriers, stigmas, and perceptions, those big, ginormous barriers, is one of the truest forms of personal enrichment in all of human mankind. Let's keep working hard, Fort Lauderdale. Madam Toastmaster.
Well, thank you for sharing your journey. And I have to tell you, although I'm not in Fort Lauderdale anymore, I have lots of friends that go to the Marlins games. If you ever head down,
cool.
Put you in touch with one.
Nice.
And it's a great stadium. Mr. Timer, how did our speakers do?
Well, only one qualify. Toastmaster Alita Richmond with 12 minutes and 29 seconds. Toastmaster Taylor Duncan with 10 minutes and 2 seconds. Back to you.
Thank you very much. Okay, well, we will send that. So we'll move to the third part of our meeting, which I always think is the most important part of Toastmasters, because it gives us feedback. Other places they say, good job, good job. This time we know exactly how we can improve. Toastmaster Scott May is our general evaluator, and he will lead us in this part of the program.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Yes, this part of the program for evaluations, because yes, we aren't just speaking to speak, we're also speaking to learn and improve our speaking skills. And what better way than receiving some constructive ideas, some constructive evaluations to help us achieve that goal. Mr. Timer, could you share the timing requirements for the evaluations?
Yes, and thank you. Time is 2 to 3 minutes with a 30-second deviation at the beginning or at the end to qualify. At 2 minutes, I will turn on the green light. At 2 minutes and 30 seconds, you'll get the amber light. And at 3 minutes, you'll get the red. And just before you have your 30-second deviation is up, I'll start flashing. Thank you. Back to you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Timer. So evaluating our first speaker, Alita Richmond, is Toastmaster Tom Quinn.
Alita, fellow Toastmasters, and Scott. Alita, what an interesting journey you relayed again this morning to us. We all struggled with you as you went through the problems and the issues and the solutions, and then the subsequent problems of connecting and communicating. You have enthusiasm and zeal enough to cross a state line to get into a McDonald's. I remember doing that with you, and people making orders as you're sitting there. It was truly phenomenal to watch. And it was interesting to hear you go through the various phases of that. I'm not here to recount all of that because we lived it with you, and thank God you stuck with us. Thank you so much for that. Your humor and your dedication were really unique to you. One of the things I now to evaluate your use of hands, always below, so well, you stood erect, you came close to the camera and came back, you invited us in and out. The flow of your story was congruent with the activities and the verbal expressions that you had. A couple times you looked down, no big deal. You know all of this. We sort of know some of it going through, and I can't remember anyone ever telling you about a speed with which you should talk. No one would ever interrupt you doing that. I can't imagine the vulgarity of such an oaf to even possibly interfere with the process that you were talking about. You're cute as a button. You just really emote right across the screen. And this is a difficult thing to do. It's one thing if you're in person. To do this by telegraph, telephone, whatever, is an entirely different skill. You kept our attention. I can't think of anything that you should really improve on other than you tell good stories. I like the jokes you do in the morning. Thank you so much for sharing with us one of the lessons that we all need, and that is to continue determination and dedication and persistence. You did all of that in a nice, delightful way. Thank you so much for continuing your membership here in our little group.
Thank you, Toastmaster Quinn. Evaluating our second speaker, Taylor Duncan, is Toastmaster Mary Helen Day.
Well, hello, Toastmaster Duncan, and welcome to Fort Lauderdale. We're so happy you stopped by to share your story. Why? Because we love it when we hear someone new come in and share something as inspiring as your story was. Wasn't really sure in the beginning, our Toastmaster presented you as someone who's going across the country sharing your story. Okay, that's great. And then you told us step by step, you were born. Yes, we were all born. But what happened when you're 4 years old? Okay, that was the beginning of your story where you shared that you were born with autism or on the spectrum of autism. And from that point in time, your family and yourself had to struggle with integrating you into what we would call normal life, whatever that is, normal life. You were born with an advantage, though, not just a disadvantage. You were born with a mother that was powerful enough to not take no, not take those critiques of what you could be, really seriously and let it go and just say, oh, he is the way he is, can't do anything about it. You were lucky to be born in a family that really cared about your development. And from that point on, she must have seen something in you that really cared too, because both of you worked to overcome those obstacles. And this is the story that I received. And I was so happy because I love these kinds of inspirational stories. And I also love the fact that you have not only taken the lemonade, you've turned it, the lemons, you've turned it into lemonade by becoming the head of a nonprofit organization where you can help other people with what you have. So what you're doing now, I understand, is you're going to different clubs all across the country. You're sharing your story. You're letting that message out there, and I so applaud you. Now, incidentally, that first meeting you went to in 2016, hey, I think every one of us in this room could relate to that. We're all scared. We didn't know if we would ever do it well. And eventually we came around, and so didn't you. And it was so evident today when you were speaking so powerfully with gestures, range of character. You laughed, you went through the whole gamut with us. Now, what I might do in the future to make your speech a little bit better is, hey, I see your picture on the screen and I know you're having problems with the internet, but you're dressed a little professionally. So if you're going to speak to groups all over the country, maybe you want to be a little more professional. Also, I was put off by the American flag in the background. I was expecting something more patriotic in your speech, but it wasn't really all about that, was that? So maybe a background that would add to your speech rather than detracting from it in the end might be a good suggestion. So I don't have a lot of time to talk about your speech. I wish I had so much more because I was so impressed with how you said you were versus who you are today and how you present yourself. And so pleased that you came down to Fort Lauderdale to visit us here at Earlybird Toastmasters. Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you. Thank you, Toastmaster Day. Mr. Timer, could you share the timing report?
Yes, both evaluators qualified. Toastmaster Tom Quinn with 3 minutes and 4 seconds, and distinguished Toastmaster Mary Helen Day with 3 minutes and 7 seconds. Please text me in the private chat, and thank you. Back to you.
All right. So yes, please vote in the chat for the best evaluator. All right, time for our helpers to share. The grammarian, please share the grammarian's report. Toastmaster Rock.
Mr. General Evaluator, we have lively language today, very lively. Before I get to the long list of lively language, unfortunately, I did hear some word endings that were cut short and mangled. We had kinda, talking, gotta, gonna, ta versus to, my kids, they versus my kids, I would say versus just saying yes, glassa instead of glasso, summa instead of summa, fur versus for, hopping versus hopping, going on versus going on, ya versus you. So please be aware of your word endings. As far as lively language, Toastmaster Ferrer Scirocco, hurricanes are interesting animals. Toastmaster Eelson, full-fledged generator. Husband went from idiot to sublime genius, using the word of the day. Val, hurricanes are so erratic. Tornadoes are not anything to play with. The angry winds of the tornado. Toastmaster Scrimshire, you know how those University of Miami people are. Putting transmitters on birds, some mythology, and beat the bejesus out of those stupid ibis. Toastmaster Bastine, quick prep, more party. Toastmaster Jim Day, I have a target on my back. Toastmaster Richmond, collateral damage from the pandemic, COVID-related forced isolation, sublime, secluded country home. Once again, the word of the day, consistent understanding and forbearance, an open view of the northern sky. I felt the need for speed, internet speed, entice members to become officers. Toastmaster Taylor Duncan, social development opportunities, I can attitude, other facets of life. Negative common perceptions of autism stood up for me in the face of adversity, ability and desire to become an advocate. Negative perceptions and stigmas, shed public speaking insecurities before I go out on a tangent. Toastmaster Quinn, enthusiasm and zeal, flow of expression, vulgarity, emote across the screen. And our best grammarian trophy goes to our guest speaker, Taylor Duncan.
All right, awesome, awesome. Thank you. Thank you for that grammarian's report. Did we have an counter today? I don't recall.
Yes, it was me, but we
Thank
did
you.
very well. All I had was Val with 2 ahs, Randolph, 2 ums and 1 like, and you, Scott, with 1 double clutch. That's all I recorded.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you, Toastmaster Ilson. Okay, an opportunity now to evaluate the entire meeting. The best part of being general evaluator, I must say. Well, we started on time. We're very close to it. Thank you. And Toastmaster Alita stepping up last minute with a joke. Thank you for that. Table topics was very timely. Don't know the reason. It's hurricane season, but yes, it is hurricane season. We got to hear about generators and ficus trees and ibis and partying with hurricane drinks. What fun. And on the speeches, 2 speeches that each shared a journey, a multi-year journey of life. With Alita Richmond going to multiple clubs, what a wonderful way to hone your craft, to be able to repeat things again and again. And her satellite links and the need for speed, and congratulations on Presentation Mastery 5. And a guest speaker, Taylor Duncan, thank you for a very moving and motivational speech, your personal journey, spreading awareness and acceptance for autism and running a nonprofit. Very motivational, inspirational. Thank you for gracing our club with you and your speech today. The evaluations were encouraging and helpful. And our Toastmaster of the day kept us on track and shared about our Toastmaster Barkley and what's going on there, as we are a Toastmaster family here at Earlybirds. So thank you for that, Toastmaster Scrimshire. And as far as the overall meeting, I grew up in New Jersey. I will go to my grave. Gonna is a word. Wanna is a word. Ding me for it, whatever you want. I will say those to the end. And with my roots being in rural Georgia, y'all is a word too. I can help you with how to spell it. I do put the apostrophe between the Y and the ALL. So if anyone needs any extra time to learn these extra words, please feel free to reach out. My information's on the roster. What a great meeting. Thank you all. Return control to our Toastmaster of the day, Toastmaster Scrimshire.
Thank you very much, Mr. Evaluator. Yeah, y'all gonna have to do this, I take it. So we'll try. It's hard to lose some of those things we had as children. This is the part of the meeting where we give away the big bucks, the big awards. I don't think we have drum rolls anymore, but the ghouls will be back. So for our best table topics, it's the place that we are all going to be after the hurricane, living with Toastmaster Anna Ilson. And our best evaluator this morning, and we hope will be shaded with our hurricane drinks, is Toastmaster Mary Helen Day. And because of time restraints, our speaker of the day is Toastmaster Richmond. And I'm wondering, not to take, because both speeches were just fabulous. I'm wondering if perhaps that Toastmaster Duncan should be better say 8 to 10 minutes, because I couldn't imagine what part you'd want to cut out of that speech. So a wonderful meeting, and I return control of the Zoom box to our presiding officer, Toastmaster Mary Helen Day.
All right, thank you, Toastmaster Scrimshire. Now we do have to, before we set up our meeting for next time, let's hear something from our guest of the day, Toastmaster Duncan. What did you like the best about our meeting, Toastmaster Duncan? He must have loved it. But that darn dang old internet, my gosh. But I'm assuming he did love it, because I can't believe there would be any other reaction to this group, right? Absolutely. Okay, so how about we get Toastmaster Scrimshire, are you in charge of the schedule for next week? Or?
Yes, I said I printed out the form. I can take down the names. I'll put it up on the web.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
we have openings for everything. I know some of us will be traveling. I will make sure that the Goulds and Toastmaster Esteem organize getting the meeting open, because I suspect that Mr. Barkley will not be interested in doing that.
Mhm. Okay.
So
and-
anything anybody wants to do.
Alita, table topics.